Hey you guys, it's MJ and welcome back to Pet Adventures again. Today we're going to cover a topic that I'm sure a lot of you guys would like to hear, and that is what you should be doing when you bring your new puppy home. Just keep in mind, I am in no means an expert on cats or dogs. I just know more than the average person, and I just know some basic facts that you should be knowing about your dog or your cat when you first bring them home. Things that are absolutely necessary, mandatory, that kind of thing. But like I said, I am in no means a professional expert, so just keep that in mind. And I'm just going to be covering some things on when you bring your new puppy home or your new dog home from adoption, really depends. And some of the basic things that you can also know if you're deciding to get a dog in general, and if it's really right for you. The first thing that I am going to cover is, like I just said earlier, if keeping a dog is really right for you and deciding if you're a cat person or a dog person. And I know that you guys know that I don't actually have a dog right now, and the only reason why I don't is because of, first of all, I have a lot of animals already, and I probably would already have a dog if it weren't for the fact that I live with some people who aren't comfortable with me keeping a dog. I do already have 5 cats, so on top of that, a dog would probably not be something that they'd be too happy about at the moment. So if you are a dog person, is something you really need to find out for yourself. Dogs are completely different from cats. In some ways, in all ways, they're usually very hyperactive depending on the breed, and they do require lots and lots and lots of attention, as do cats. Many people do not know that. Many people will tell you it's the complete opposite, but just because a cat doesn't have a super duper, very visual way of telling you that they need attention, they do in some ways require, tell you that they need attention. It's just that many people can't seem to read that. Maybe it's a little bit vague for some people, but in my opinion, it's actually very out there. But every cat's different, as is every dog. But dogs do require lots of attention, and in some ways they are more advanced than cats, but everything I said still stands. Also, you should be adopting a dog instead of buying one. I know that there are specific breeds that many people really do want, but it is always best to adopt a cat or dog, whatever you're going for, when you're getting your first new cat or dog. Sometimes you can even find the breed that you want by rescuing. You just have to look for it. Also, you guys, I have had dogs my entire life. I don't at the moment, but I have had dogs my entire life. Throughout this video, I might flash a couple pictures of my past dogs, but ever since I can remember, my family has kept dogs and cats all the time. There was never a time we didn't have a cat and a dog. At least, I don't know, a dog and a few cats. There's never a time when we didn't. And like I also told you guys, my very first official pet was a Jack Russell dog that was with me for about 8 to 9 years. I will also be discussing some training tips. I don't want to go too in detail with that because that is kind of another video. For both training cats, yes, cats, and dogs, it is completely possible to train either one. So just keep that in mind, that training is very, very, very mandatory when keeping a new cat or dog. And the training I have done with both cat and dog is similar, but in some ways it does have to be a bit different. They both work a different way. So if you finally decided that you really truly want a dog, dogs do require walking. That is why they are a bit more advanced. You do have to walk a dog every single day. You do have to take it out every single day, and you do have to give it attention every single day. So when you're deciding to get a dog, you really should know these things. And like I said, training is very, very mandatory. So you decided to get your first dog, whatever the breed may be, just make sure that you have rescued it instead of buying it. It's cheaper anyways, and it's just better for the dog in general. If it is a puppy you are deciding to get, then there are a few steps and a few things that you need to know. I will leave a whole list right in front of me of everything that you should be getting for your new puppy. Toys is definitely something that you always should have. Puppies do teeth a lot. I see a lot of people always getting upset that they have to go through toys over and over and over again, and even adult dogs will go through toys over and over and over again. Many people are very frustrated with this fact, but it is just part of having a dog. If you can't accept that your dog is going to chew the squeaker out of some toys and shred up its rope toys, you know, if you can't accept that, don't get a dog, because that's just how dogs are. If you don't give them these things, especially as puppies, they'll be chewing on you, your hands, and they'll also be chewing on your shoes and all kinds of stuff that you don't want them to get into. That's just how dogs are. They really love to chew a lot. Dogs and puppies. Usually puppies tend to chew a little bit more, but dogs still will do it even when they're older. I mean, for crying out loud, I had like my dogs chewing up my underwear and my shoes like all the time. So go figure. Also keep in mind that dogs and puppies chew a lot because they have so much boredom going on. So if you're not really playing with your puppy or dog much, that is one of the main reasons why. Many people in the past, when I worked in retail, would come and get a bunch of toys and they would wonder, oh my goodness, why is this dog chewing so much, this and that. And it really plays into how much time you're spending with the dog. If the dog is in way too much and the dog isn't having any kind of fun activities going on in its life, it's going to be chewing and going to be wrecking the house. If you kind of take away all that energy by running all the time outside or going in the backyard and playing fetch all the time, if you do all these activities that are going to kind of wear them down a little bit, you know, they're not going to have so much pent-up energy, and when they're in the house, chances are they're going to be a lot more calmer after you've done all these things with them. So all that down on the plate, you must have lots and lots and lots of toys for your puppy. Now, there are safe toys and there are non-safe toys. There is a bunch of toys that are unsafe and safe. I prefer to use things that they won't be able to swallow. Usually the Kong toys, I've heard, are pretty highly recommended as far as safe toys go. Also, you want to be getting food, of course, for your puppy. There's a lot of stuff on the market. When it comes to kittens and puppies, I would say that you don't want to be giving them wet food too early in their life. It will cause diarrhea, so you want to stick away from wet food for quite a while. I'd wait until they're just like 8 months is like perfectly fine. They're already getting a bit older at that time, but when they're very, very young, you really want to stick away from any kind of wet food. You can, of course, stick to lots of puppy formulas that are specially made for puppies in whatever brand you decide to get. Just make sure that the higher quality the brand, the better. Usually higher quality brands are more expensive, but that is part of keeping a dog. There's no such thing as getting a dog or a cat and having it be very, very cheap. There are lots of vet bills and lots of expenses that come with keeping a kitten or a puppy in general, so just keep that in mind. Something I would say to help with getting your new food for your puppy is make sure it is completely grain-free. Grains are just bad. Things like wheat, corn, soy, that kind of stuff is usually not very good. Some top brands I've heard are things like Origin, Blue, there's also like Science Diet, and also for cats and dogs I heard that raw feedings are really great, and you can also cook their foods as well. Just natural meats in their diets are really great. They are carnivores, so I would recommend doing a raw diet or even just cooking some meats up for them. It's completely natural for them. It is usually what they would get in the wild. Eventually you want to put moisture into their diet anyways. You don't want things to be completely dry. You're also going to need a crate. It is very essential that you have some kind of crate for your new puppy. Puppies get into so much stuff when you're not around, and you don't want them just jumping all over the place and hurting themselves when you're not around or when you're sleeping. So make sure that they do have a crate available. If I were you, I would also have a room that the puppy will mainly be in, where they have their toys, and they also have what I was also going to say is they also need mats. You must get a puppy mat. This is so that they can pee on it and poop on it whenever you first get them. They won't be going out super often when they're really small, So train them onto doing that. You can train small dogs to do this in general. If you do live in an apartment, the puppy mats are great for that. I think they also call them like wee-wee mats or something like that. So the next thing you want to get for your new puppy is a leash and some collars and some harnesses. So you want to be using the harnesses only, for the most part, only when you're taking them out. Harnesses are a lot better to use when you're walking your pet than a collar. This way they can't get choked. This way they can't slip out of it as easy. And it's just really, really much safer to use. And also playing into that, you want to get some tags. Make sure that you have tags, and also microchipping. Microchipping is really, really great for most pets. Microchipping your cat and your dog. If someone picks them up and takes them to the vet, it will ensure that they'll be able to get back to you. So that's what's really great about microchipping. And of course, get your tags done. You can get those done at most stores. Also, when you get a collar, if you can, I would suggest getting anything that can break off really, really easy, just in case. You never know. I mean, usually that's more recommended for cats, but just in case, you never know what's going to happen. So if you can get a collar that kind of breaks off and snaps off a little bit easier, that's always best. So do not walk your animal with any kind of collar. Always make sure it's a harness. It can be one of those also if it's like you want to dress them up in clothes. You can also do those harnesses that look like clothing. Those are fine too, just as long as it holds onto the animal really stable and it ensures their safety. Also, don't forget deworming and defleeing your animal. You can get these things done at the vet, or you can even use Frontline. Frontline works really well. Some people, it really depends on your dog, so I would use a very small amount of Frontline to kind of see how your pet reacts. And if it's totally okay within like a few hours, then you can just use the whole little vial thing. I don't know what they're called, but the whole vial thing of Frontline. And deworming is really great too. If you want, you can always just take your animal to the vet. When you do get your new puppy, I also recommend taking it to the vet. It is very, very, very necessary. You may need to get them fixed if they're not fixed. Just keep in mind that when you get a new pet, it should always be fixed as well. And you want to be having a lot of vet trips at least once a year. Now, when it comes to dogs, you are going to be bathing them often. They don't really groom themselves like cats. They do get themselves dirty very easily. You can bathe them yourself, or you can take them to the groomers depending on your dog and if you think you can do it or not. You want to start bathing them kind of early in their life. When they're really young puppies, you do not want to bathe them unless you absolutely positively have to. But early in their life, like I would say maybe like, I don't know, 8 or 9 months is fine. Even their first year, like when they're a year old, you can start bathing them. Just make sure that you bathe them really early in their life so that they're not scared to take a bath in the future. And if things don't work out, you can always get professional, like the groomers. You can take them to the groomers. And usually most pet stores have groomers. So they have the bathers that'll bathe the dog for you. So you can get that done as well. It really depends on your dog. And if you do it yourself, make sure that you invest in a really good shampoo. Oatmeal is really great for them. If it has natural oatmeal ingredients, that's really great for their skin. You don't want to use things that are too harsh. If I were you, I'd get the most natural shampoo you can. The more natural, the better for them. Otherwise, they just put in all these crazy fragrances and you don't know how your dog is going to really react to it skin-wise. So, and oatmeal is even great for us. I also didn't mention this. I know I'm like all over the place, but when you're walking your dog, what a lot of people do is, I know this is training and I'm really getting into that, but training is a huge essential thing when you're taking care of your dog, your puppy, whatever. You want to condition them as soon as possible. When walking them, you want to condition them as soon as possible to not walk in front of you. Almost everybody I have seen walks their dog with their dog in front of them. This is not the correct way to do it. What happens is when your dog is walking in front of you, a lot of the times they're controlling you and you're not controlling them when it comes to walking. You'll see dogs often like gag themselves on their you know, like when they're walking. And of course, when you use a harness, this is better for them so they don't have to choke like that. But I just see a lot of people with their dog walking in front of them and it's just not pretty. Often the dog is just like pulling the owner on the other end of the leash. And there's a lot of ways to get them to stop doing that. If you guys want a separate video on this, I can always do that, because it's very important that your dog is not walking in front of you. But keep in mind, you can also watch Cesar Millan. He does train dogs the right way, I think. This is just my opinion, but he has gotten so many dogs to be more well behaved than most people can train their dogs. I think the problem is that people are a little too light with their dogs, and they don't bother to really train them to do anything, so the dog just ends up maybe getting aggressive or walks all over them. So I'm not ever saying you should ever hit your dog or even spank your dog, but you need to teach them some boundaries and strict rules. That way, you know, like even give them a treat when they do something right. You can always use positive reinforcement, whatever works for you. Just make sure that your dog is not ever getting rewarded or getting what it wants out of doing something that is kind of bad for them to do, if you know what I mean. It's just like a kid. When a kid, I don't know, screams and hollers like all over the, like when you're outside or something and people are looking at you, and you know, I've seen like kids kind of go crazy and stuff in the store. You don't reward them with candy, or you don't reward them just by lightly telling them no. So not that you should be too stern, but you also don't want to be too, you know, you want to meet in the middle. So it's in similar ways it can be like that with dogs. Of course you want to be, you want to kind of get into the mind of a dog if you can. Another thing that I was talking about is vet-wise. You want to find a good vet that you can always call or go to. Make sure you always have a vet that you know that you can get to, because you never know what's going to happen with your new puppy or dog. Also, some things that I would recommend medication-wise is getting them some tear stain removers. And you also want to get some ear cleaner solutions. Dogs are notorious for getting a lot of ear problems, especially the ones that have the more floppy ears. So you want to be cleaning their ears out, I would say like every other day or just when they really need it. So always check up on their ears. And the tear stain remover, well, with dogs it can be a big thing that dogs just have in general. It's not really harmful to them, but you do want to kind of clear that up. What you can also do is just make sure you invest on a really great diet. The better the diet, the less likely you'll have like health problems in general. So I would try investing in the best diet you possibly can. And if you want to know what that is, I discussed that earlier in this video. Also, with your new puppy, you want to make sure that you can get some toothbrushes and you know, like those little kits that they have with the toothpaste and stuff. You want to be cleaning their teeth at least a few times a week if possible. They do get dirty teeth just like we do, so a few times a week is really great. Don't forget, your puppy is going to need to drink and eat, so what better way than to get some dishes for them. You'll need a food and water dish, and something I highly recommend is, if you can spend the money, I would eventually get a water fountain. I use that for my pets, and a water fountain is really great because it encourages your pet to drink more often, and it is just like filtered out water. And I also used purified water, distilled water. Just don't use any tap water for your dog or cat. It's just not safe in general for any pet. I actually use purified water for every single pet I have, so I would do that for sure. And like I said, playing into training, which is something you should be doing as early as you can with your puppy, is getting them some treats. Get some treats that are going to well motivate them. So probably the more expensive treats that are not very hard and have a lot of moisture in them. There's so many treats on the market, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what to get, but whatever your pet also likes. Dogs can like a different variety. Oh my gosh, I just burped. I'm so sorry. But dogs have their own preference. Chicken, lamb, whatever they like. Usually cats and dogs both like chicken the most. It is the cheapest ingredient too, but whatever they prefer, just get them that. Try out different treats, and once you find that one treat that just motivates your dog really, really well and gets them excited, I would definitely start getting those and use them for training. Basic training is just like teaching them to not get such anxiety when you leave the house. So teaching them to stay, teaching them to sit, and I mean really, really training them to sit. There's so many people who have not trained their dogs that I have seen in my life, and it's just terrible. Their dog ends up jumping on them and acting crazy, and you know, don't get me wrong, it's great for a dog to be a dog and be excited, but it's not very good for the dog to not have any training in their life, and it's not good for you, and it can bother people. I mean, it doesn't really bother me when people have their dogs jump on me, you know, as long as the dog's not aggressive. But believe it or not, high energy all the time for your dog can actually turn into aggression too. I have seen it happen. So I think it's just best to train your dog to be as well behaved as you can get them to be. But basic things are just teaching them to calm down in certain situations, you know, sit and stay, and you know, obviously training them like where to go in the house when you're using the puppy pads and stuff like that is also great. So you definitely want to be training them for that. Also, when I was saying for toys, it's best to stick with things that they aren't going to be able to just chew up and swallow. So getting them really small toys is going to have them swallow things easier. So sometimes I would say that the bigger the toy, the better for the puppy. I'm so sorry, my cat is making noise. I'll be right back. Now, like I said, when you first bring your puppy home, make sure that it can get a place, a special place where you always have it, where its crate is, its water bowl and food bowl is, its toys, just so it can be in that puppy pads as well. Make sure puppy pads are there. If you don't have puppy pads, you can do, I guess, like newspaper, but I would just go out and get the puppy pads, honestly. It's not that bad. There's a lot of them that come in a big pack. So have those everywhere and have the crate around. Do not leave your puppy in the crate while you're gone though. If you're going to be gone at work, I would not recommend leaving a puppy in a crate the whole time. That is really stressful. You know, think about it. Would you want to be in a crate the whole rest of the day? No. So you want to have things where their toys are around, water bowl, food bowl, fountain, whatever you can get. Make sure that this room has nothing that they can get into that's going to be harmful to them or anything like that. So if you can't do this, I don't know, just make sure that there's puppy-proof stuff all over your house, whatever you can do. But puppies and kittens can get into a lot of trouble when they're super young, and you don't want anything harmful or bad happening to them while you're gone. Another thing I want to recommend that you can get for your new kitten or puppy, either one, well, they both need it, is clippers. You do want to be clipping their nails. Cats sharpen their nails, so you may not need that as much, but sometimes you never know, they don't feel like it. But you will need a clipper for your dog. Make sure that you start clipping their nails as early as you can in their life. Like I said, the earlier the better with conditioning them into new things. That way they'll never be afraid of it. And that's pretty much it. If I left out anything, you guys, just leave it down in the comments. Please be nice and kind to everybody. If you have any suggestions, leave them down below for next videos. Also, guys, don't forget my next live streams. I will put the very next live stream date right here. And don't forget to come to that. Please expect me to mess up some things when I first start. I remember when I first started my first live stream, I couldn't get it started right, so expect that to happen. You're just gonna have to hang out with me until I get everything ready. Be patient with me. Please like this video and subscribe. Let me know if you got a dog after watching this. What animal do you want me to talk about? What animal do you want to see next? And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!